Well, hello everybody. This is Goldfinger from the Goldfinger Minute. I decided to do a new thing that seems to be a new type of YouTube. It'll be on the same channel, but I have a lot of experience with gold and silver. I was a refiner for a long time. I'm going to go over a few things with you about gold and silver. That's specifically what this is about. It's going to be called the Gold and Silver Report. This is number 1. I have 3 chapters I've already written down that I need to read to you guys. With that said, you'll have to excuse me, but I'll be looking down at my screen because there was a lot of information. I need to give you first a little background of me. I have over 50 years in precious metals. I bought, sold, mined, and refined gold, silver, and platinum. I'm a third-generation refiner. My father and my grandfather were both into gold and silver and jewelry as well. I have done panning, sluicing, high banking, dry washing, chemical refining with acids and cyanide stripping, precipitating, and electroplating. So I have extensive knowledge in that. However, I closed everything down in around 2013 after retired twice. The first time I retired, I couldn't stay retired. You know me; I have too much energy. I have a lot to say. I did a lot. Okay, we precipitated out of solutions gold, silver, platinum, and copper. We've done primary ore in my refinery, nuggets from panning, Central California and Alaska, metal detecting, and metal detector nuggets from the desert mine fields, and secondary jewelry, mostly secondary jewelry. Which is secondary refining, dental gold, films, X-ray silver, gold-plated watch bands, watch case, gold-filled pocket watches, optical gold-filled, industrial precious metals like electronics, circuit boards, silver batteries, gold salts, and even got gold out of the ocean. Yes, we actually did get gold out of the ocean. We tried that, rented a pier in California, and set up. We paid a guy to set up a pump to pull ocean water. And we also went to Eureka, California, which happens to have a higher gold concentration. When my father was alive and we were both active as partners, I worked for him in 1970 and around, after I graduated from high school around 74, 75, I partnered with my father. And we went out to Eureka and actually we pulled a boat through the water and made our own torpedo-like plexiglass device and pulled it through the ocean to get gold out of the ocean. And yes, we did get gold out of the ocean. However, it financially didn't pay. Let's see. We also we dealt with hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, nitric acid. Some were in poly drums. Nitric's delivered in 55-gallon stainless steel drums. Sodium cyanide, eggs in 30-gallon metal containers that were lined with plastic. So I've done a lot of different types of precious metal refining over the years. We've moved 3 times and bought out another refinery in 1982, I believe. So many different forms and recovery methods. I doubt if I remember all the different things that we've done over the years. I had up to, at one point, 25 managers, 3 yard managers, a 3-room office building, a 3-room office building with a customer service waiting area. We had grown rather big. We had large 600-pound and 400-pound copper furnaces that used hydraulics to tilt and pour, and we also had smaller furnaces to handle higher value lots with number 10, number 16 carbon crucibles and silica carbide crucibles. Electric kilns, electromagnetic furnaces to fast melt high value items of gold and silver. I had a full assay lab, chemical refinery, a 40-foot high air scrubber, and a smaller lab scrubber for our lab hoods. We had 2-stage furnaces to burn off organics. It was basically a large door that opened counterweighted that we could slide steel in with a forklift, steel metal containers, and then we'd burn polishings or things that were organic, paper, things like that, to get rid of organics to prepare for either the furnace melting or chemical recovery, and it had an afterburner too. So it was pretty big. We had a lot of permits. AQMD, Air Quality Management District. We had health department. We had to sample our spent solutions. We really had to take anything before we dumped it, and we had to neutralize it. Okay, we couldn't not dump acids or alkalis in the water, so we had to neutralize those before we would drain it, and that created a lot of sludge. But it was copper sludge, and to us, it actually is a waste. We weren't into recovering copper. But it was like copper sulfate. It would be a bluish color. And basically, I found another company I would sell to. They would ship to China. They'd purchase it from me for $1 a pound. It was worth a lot more than that. But it was just advantageous. They provide 20, 30, 55-gallon drums with plastic liners. We fill it with this sludge. We sell it to them so that we didn't have a waste product. And this way, we didn't have to pay for very expensive destruction of it or burying of it in Nevada, where they dig large areas out, line it with plastic, and then they bury the drums. This way we shipped it to China, and they could recover the copper, and a little bit of gold, silver, and platinum would pass through too. The guy that bought it from me, Ed, very happy, made a lot of money on us over the years. We had a separate room for electroalkaline plating baths, which mostly was silver, and a separate sodium cyanide stripping room and precipitation room. Because it was cyanide, we had to keep it in a separate building away from anything like acids, okay? Because if you mix cyanide and acid, you get orange oxide fumes, deadly, basically just instantly deadly. In there, we had to have wash stations, mask, we had to have ampules that we could break under the nose in case somebody got cyanide in their mouth or eyes, or weren't handling it properly with rubber gloves or things like that, got absorbed in their skin. It makes your heart, it slows your heart down. And the ampules, if you break it under the nose, would speed your heart up, so we can get you, luckily we never had to use those. But we had a full wash station and eye wash station that you could go into. And we had also one in the lab where the acids were. It was a big facility, to be honest with you. We had ball mills there that would break up things big enough for 4 people to climb inside, with huge 2-pound metal balls to break things up. And we also had smaller polishers for smaller lots, even for gem polishing. Now, gold has doubled, but it actually hasn't. I'm going to say, let me go back. Gold has not doubled, okay? The price of gold went from, it's actually doubled twice, but it's not really doubled. The first time is in the early 2000s. Gold was running around $300-400. I've been in it since it was $35 an ounce. My dad had to have a treasury license to buy gold and wasn't allowed to have more than 5 ounces in his possession at any one time. Since then, they've taken away those. In 1970, they took away those treasury licenses, and you weren't required to it. And even back before that, during the Nixon era, they took us off the gold standard. There was a period of time that they actually had everybody turning their gold in, which they didn't really pay you for. So there's a lot of history. And I've seen Hunt Brothers silver, which shot up to almost $50 an ounce. I've been in it when gold was as low as, when I was doing it, gold was around 250 to 300. Hard to make an income with that. But then gold went to around 450 for a very long time, and that was okay. We worked on a percentage, so 10% of 450 obviously was better than 10% of 250 an ounce. And then gold started to shoot up in the early mid 2000s. Gold started to shoot up and went over 1,000. And once it went over 1,000, things got, our company grew tenfold. It was ridiculous. I had teams going out and servicing jewelers. I couldn't do it all myself. Hired security guards, had bulletproof vehicles with safes built in them, vans, and we were really raking in the money then. It was, and gold basically at that point, the price technically doubled from 500 to 1,000, then from 1,000 almost to 2,000, and then it does it again in the last couple months. So that's what brought my interest back into giving some of my experience. And when you start going from 2,000 to 4,000, which it did, you wonder, did gold double? No, technically the gold did not double. The value of the dollar halved 3 times. Now, when the Hunt brothers bought the silver, and they were trying to corner the market on silver, that drove the price up. But Feds got involved and didn't allow them to do that and told them they had to sell off their silver that they were buying. And so that was not a situation where the value of the dollar dropped. That was basically supply and demand situation. But the other times when the Feds printed money, 700 billion, then another 700 to a million, to a million billion, gold basically is steady. It holds its price. What happened was it just took more U.S. dollars to buy it. Now, with that said also, silver actually still has the most potential to rise in the short term. Due to its use in industry and its yearly shortages, yes, every year the supply of silver does not meet the demand. Silver is a product that's used in industry. And if you're going to own precious metals, you need to own it in physical form, bullion, not paper. You actually have to own the metal, okay? You cannot trust paper. You cannot trade fint money, promissory notes, for promissory silver. It's not going to work, okay? That will come crashing down in the future if it's not already happening. So the bottom line is you need to physically own it, and I strongly believe that silver will be the next, even though it's at 40, it's just dropped down a little bit, about $46 to $48 an ounce. It's got a long ways to go. So silver is the one to buy right now, even at the current price, even with a premium. If you do buy anything, you need to make sure it's stamped 99.99 fine. You have to have a known weight and the purity. Now, the known weight could be either in grams, like a kilo bar, or 10-gram bar, or troy ounces. And gold and silver is weighed in troy ounces, which is different than the weight you use for weighing food in America or yourself, okay? There's actually 12 troy ounces to a troy pound, where it would take 14.583 troy ounces equal a avoirdupois pound. It's a little bit complicated. A lot of times they switched over to grams, so you have 31.103 grams to an ounce troy, where you only have under 30, 28 something for an avoirdupois ounce. I would suggest strongly buying American Eagles, American Buffaloes, Canadian Maple Leafs, or Credit Suisse bars, whether it's gold or silver. You want to have a known brand with a purity stamp with a known weight. There's no question when you go to sell it or trade it what the value is. There are some companies that produce bars that are very well known in the industry, like Handy Harman, Martin Hannum, Engelhart Metals, and a few others, U.S. Silver. And they're well known, but only to those that are in the industry and have been in the industry for 5 years or more. They know what they are. But as a public, I would stick with American Eagles, American Buffaloes, or Canadian Maples, or Credit Suisse bars is fine too. So the first problem is, and I'm going to go, that was chapter 1, and I'm going to go into chapter 2. So hold on just a second for chapter 2. Hello, welcome back. This will be chapter 2 on the gold and silver report, on my first report. Now, in chapter 2, I like to discuss what's going to happen, my opinion, again, of course, when banking fails, and it will. You won't be able to get your money out. You can't. The banks will, first they'll close up, ATMs won't be available, and then when you go to get your cash out of the bank, and maybe you have 100, 200,000, they're not going to give it to you. It's simple as that. What happened during COVID-19 was they kind of shot themselves in the foot. In my opinion, they created COVID-19, but they also didn't realize what the outcome will be in the future. By shutting down corporate America and now not allowing people to go to work in big cities, especially cities like New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Houston, Dallas, things like that, people started working from home. And and that was the best way because people didn't want to leave their home, so people started going work on their laptops for big companies. But what happened was finally, when things got better after COVID, there was no reason to bring people into work where they fight traffic, become late, and for corporations to buy commercial rental space. So we're several years later now. And what happened is it worked out so well for corporations to have people work from their home, and their production was just the same as if they were in work. They waste just as much time at home as they do in work, around the water cooler or whatever you want to call it. They no longer needed large buildings to house people. It's cheaper for them to provide a laptop or from home and having home office work done. That made large buildings and real estate obsolete in the big cities to a certain extent. Not totally obsolete, but it cut down a lot on the rental income. To further exacerbate the problem, you deposit your money into a bank and you think it's FDIC insured. Actually, that's not the way it works, okay? So let's go into that. There was a law passed in 2008 called the Dodd-Frank Act. And that does not allow governments to bail out, like federal government, to bail out banks again, like they did early on. Now they're going to be calling it bail-in. The 2008 Act, Dodd-Frank Act, tells the banks that you're going to do bail-in. So if there's a problem with the banking, it means that you may have money, 100, 200, 300,000 in the bank. I don't care if it's even 10,000. And when you ask the bank for your money, at a certain point, they do not have to give it to you anymore. The act allowed them to assume that when you put money into a bank, your bank, you have made an unsecured loan to that bank or institution. This now means that if your financial institution can't pay you back, they don't have to pay you back. They can give you stock in their company, and then they can go insolvent. So that's a big problem, obviously. But they made it so now that you're an investor in that bank or institution. I'm going to go ahead and go into Chapter 3. Chapter 3. Other products that will there's certain products that will rise in a runaway inflation. What can you do? Here's what you could do. You're going to have to obviously buy something that'll hold value. And there are things that will rise in value that you could purchase with your U.S. dollars now because they're not going to be as valuable later on. So food and daily supplies, those will disappear in availability. Just like the big, great toilet paper run, people will go off and start buying things that they think they have to have, like toilet paper, whatever. They don't even use toilet paper here. They use a sprayer, but that's another story. You could buy freeze-dried food. You should become a prepper. And you need to defend your stash of valuables as well as your home and family. When the shit hits the fan, is the only way to put it, it'll probably happen within 10 years, hopefully not shorter. So you have time, okay? This is not a doomsday thing. This is something, we talked about this in the 1990s, okay? And obviously there was a big fear at 2000 things were going to happen on the New Year's of 2000 or just after, okay? But things are happening now, and there's signs that it's going to expedite pretty soon. Many countries have dropped the U.S. dollar as a trade currency. Why? Well, they don't want it as an investment in the future. They don't trust our dollar. Do you trust the dollar? I don't trust the dollar. This signals a change in world power and currency. Oil is no longer valued and purchased by U.S. dollar. It is now purchased by the yen, BRICS, or euros. So that's a big thing. When countries started creating their own money, which started with the euro and then the BRICS and the yen's become very powerful too, that showed that the world was looking at the U.S. as not the big powerhouse it used to be after the war, Second World War. So it's going to bite us. All this living large is going to bite us in the butt, okay? I would not hold cash. it will drop in purchasing power. There are certain things you could do to hold the value or increase value. First of all, precious metals. Obviously, that's what this is about, especially fine silver. And the reason why I say fine silver is is a product that's consistently shorted year after year. They don't mine as much as we use. It's used in electronics, and there's a lot of gold sitting above ground. And I prefer, if I was a small investor, like I had mentioned before, I think in Chapter 1, Canadian Maple Leafs, American Eagles, or Buffaloes would be the best, in my opinion. They're going to have a higher premium, but they'll command a higher premium when you go to sell them. There are some gold in some former smaller in weights that are internationally known. But strictly, you have to have the purity and the weight. And it's a simple calculation. I am a graduate gemologist. I went to GIA, and I would say forget diamonds and precious stones. It's subject to opinion as to the value. There is no factual price, international price, on the quality for the different color, clarity, color, or carat, known as the 4 C's in the industry. The value varies, and it's whatever the buyer perceives that value to be, even if you have a gemological certificate on it. In 2016, Venezuela were selling their jewelry, gems, and diamonds for food and toilet paper. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And the most important thing, honestly, is food and shelter when it comes right down to it. Now, some industrial use metals like copper will also hold their value, a lot cheaper to buy now, but they're not going to be as easily sellable immediately like gold and silver is. So another product that you could buy as a prepper is alcohol in a hard liquor like rum, tequila, vodka. In the little bottles, the little 2 to 3 ounce bottles, they can be traded for food and supplies. You want to buy wholesale. They come 24 to 48 to a case. You want to have several cases. Believe it or not, Bic lighters. Yes, you should have boxes of them. They're an instant source of heat and safe to store. You could buy them on sale by cases of the 50. I would have several hundred. And you could trade them just like you trade little bottles of liquor. Now, food. You should stock some food. There might be shortages of food. We don't know how bad it'll be. We don't know when it's going to be. You just know what's going to happen. You know it. I know it. Especially, you could buy food freeze-dried, lentils, legumes, rice, corn, freeze-dried meats. Anything that could hold its flavor when freeze-dried. It should have oxygen absorbers in it and be in a heavy mill plastic, vacuum-sealed packages, and stored in a cool, dry place. You should not, if you're in a hot area, do not store it in your garage. If you want to get a full 30-year life out of prepackaged preppers containers that say 30 years, it has to be in a cooler environment, not in a hot house. So a cool, dry area is important. Rice and top ramen in plastic containers, not the ones in the styrofoam cups, will last many years. Honey will last thousands of years, okay? White vinegar lasts forever. It's a natural disinfectant, food prep cleaner, and has medicinal uses as well. Lentils will last 30 years if stored properly. Non-fat dried milk will last 20 plus years if it's stored properly and dry. Salt without a preservative, okay, has an infinite shelf life and is used for more than just seasoning. It will keep protein from spoiling without refrigeration. Instant coffee, which is freeze-dried or vacuum sealed with oxygen absorbers, will last 25 years. And when you want to have a cup of coffee and you can't buy fresh coffee, you might want to put some instant coffee away in your prepper supplies. Instant coffee works great. Sugar lasts years. It's also it's a preservative for foods, especially if you're canning. It's a valuable source of energy when you need that. Ghee, which is butter that's removed the water and separated, and you can find out how to make ghee, which is an oil. It will last longer than, say, olive oil due to the low moisture content. Freeze-dried fruit lasts for 20 to 30 years if vacuum sealed and oxygen absorbers. Bouillon cubes, either chicken or beef flavor, The salt, and they have salt in them, which is good for you because you will need salt. You need electrolytes. They'll last 15 years if kept dry. Ready-to-eat meals, MREs. You can get them at camping stores. They're pretty good for 10 to 15 years. Some commercially available are good for 30 years. Wheat berries have nutritional value. They can actually be ground up into a flour, and you can make bread if you have the, and you can make pastries if you have the salt and the sugar. And wheat berries do not go rancid like flour would. They'll last 30 years. Hardtack, maybe from a lot of older guys will know what hardtack is. It's made from flour and water, and it will last centuries. Okay, not the best tasting stuff, but hardtack. You can look that up. What is hardtack? How you make it? Pemmican, made from dry meat and the fat, and sometimes some dried berries put in it, are the original energy food bars. They last for years. You can make these food bars and seal them in containers and add oxygen absorbers and vacuum seal them, and they'll last a long time. And believe it or not, peanut butter or almond butter will last for years. It may have a taste that'll go off a little bit, but they're still edible, and it's an all around. It's a good food because it has a lot of protein. You will need water. You need safe water to reconstitute those freeze-dried foods. So you'll have to think about that as well. Don't leave out the possibility of learning to can your own foods. Any type of emergency needed prepper items, first aid supplies, water purifiers, both the type with carbon charcoal, direct filter. So the type where you actually are pulling liquids through it and has a carbon filter in it are good. And then also tablets to add to water that kills germ and parasites. You could also add to, if you have the room, you have large containers of water. I had 30 and 55 gallon drums when I was in the U.S. I do not have them here. I'm going to start to save up again. You could add a little bit of chlorine to it. There's information on Pepper's Guides, YouTube, where you can find out how much you need to add based on the amount of gallons you have. And you have large sealable containers that, of course, like I said, 55 gallon plastic drums, and use a hand pump. I had both small and big. I didn't really want a whole lot of 55s because I needed to be able to handle them and move them. So I had some 30 gallon. But you need that for your freeze-dried foods to reconstitute. Anything that can use the sun as solar power will be advantageous. So you can get solar panels. It'll help for the radios, flashlights. You'll need simple things in your prepper kit like scissors, knife, something for heat, possibly several cases of canned propane for cooking in a small propane stove, some cooking utensils, cooking pans, light pans. Don't forget medicine. Medicine, all types, especially the medicine that you need on a daily basis, as well as alcohol, bandages, antibiotics, fever reducers, cold medicines, and aspirin or ibuprofen. Insulin, if you're on it, you need to get insulin and have it. Keep it for as long as you can. Keep a well supply, a little extra supply, because you might have trouble getting it. It does have a shelf life, even in the refrigerator. Antibiotics, cold and flu medicine as well. You should buy extra. Anything for camping. Tents, sleeping bags, nylon rope, plastic tarps, duct tape, glue, especially super glue, a emergency medical kit, the bigger one you can get. You get all this stuff from Amazon right now. You need to be a total prepper, basically, okay? And you need to learn how to do that. You can actually also purchase some of the well-known cryptocurrencies. They most likely will hold their value, especially Bitcoin. Some of the better well-known ones should be will go up in value, and you could trade them in fractional amounts. So you use a portion of a Bitcoin the way they have it now, and that's actually a very good prepper way to have. I wouldn't carry cash. If you have large amounts of money, cryptocurrency is one of the ways to go. What'll happen is things happen very slowly and systematically. And before you know it, you're in a hyperinflation economy. You see that the banks will close their doors for several days. There will be no ATMs available for cash. Possibly your stores that had normally carried the goods that you want day to day are no longer receiving those goods and are out of stock with empty shelves. That's when everybody else starts realizing they better do something. You don't want to wait till everybody else. You could find later on utilities can't be counted on, like water, electricity, or internet. And if you're in states with snow, you need to worry about the possibility of loss of heat. So in that case, you need a wood-burning stove and cords of hardwood and small kindling to burn and create heat. You can't store gasoline, nor will it keep, so that's an out. So you may need to purchase those propane cans or have an extra propane tank if you have the property. You could buy 400 or 500 gallon propane tanks and just keep it filled as a backup. That'll last a long time. You may not be able to use your car, especially if there's no electricity and they can't pump the gas. Or the gas stations don't even have the gas to sell because the trucking company is going to fall apart and they won't be able to deliver the fuel. You have to prepare for the unnormal, the unusual, the unexpected, the unimaginable. You have to think outside the box. Okay, those that prepped ahead will be the better ones off, and you'll need to protect what you have for those that didn't prepare and don't have. Again, canned goods are fine for a couple years. They're usually good past their expiration date. You can just about get anything over the counter in canned goods. They take up more room, but the good part is canned goods have water, typically salt water within it, so you can drink the water. They'll last for several years. It's just not as long as freeze-dried. I would suggest dating and marking them with either their expiration date or the purchase date on the lids with a black marker. Again, vacuum-packed products as well. They have fruit. And you need to keep these things out of the reach of rats, mice, or animals, bugs. So you need to seal them in plastic pails or metal drums. And this will take up some space in your home. So find an area where, because it'll grow. It'll just grow. It'll take up some space, especially if you're in an apartment. Here's some of the simple things that a lot of people forget. Needle and thread. It could be used for clothing, but it also could be used for medical stitching in an emergency. Ropes, nylon string, twine, dental floss. It's very strong, very fine, and it actually can be used medically. It also is good for fishing and things like that. Zip ties. Zip ties are wonderful things to have when you need them. When you don't have them, it's too late. Aluminum foil. It's a great reflector for signaling. It has medical applications. It also will keep foods protected, and it also is good for reflecting the sun to heat things up, like hot water or even cooking. Hydrogen peroxide, it cleans and protects food as well as medical uses. You can start looking into hydrogen peroxide. There's two different types. One is the type you get at the market, and that's fine for exterior use. So for trying to clean up a wound, like if you get a scratch or something like that. There's also food grade, which you can get from Amazon. That's great for internal use. Vinegar lasts forever, many uses. Baking soda, salt. Buy a good natural cure encyclopedia. There are some books out there that talk about natural curing and cooking. You'll need fine oil for tool repairs if you're going to have some tools put away, because things could get rusty. And you also need oil, obviously, for cooking. Safety pins, metal whistle, chapsticks. Many uses for chapsticks, not just your lips. Candles, in case there is no electricity and you run out of candles, but that would be the next thing. Candles. Bic lighters, like I said earlier, they're a barter item, lots of them. You could also buy batteries, but they won't last forever. Matches. I prefer the matches that are waterproof, that you could strike on anything. Toilet tissue, Kleenex, nose tissue, paper towels. There's paper products. You're going to have to seal them. They may get bugs. And am I crazy? Well, I'd rather be crazy prepared to have what I need just in case ahead of time. They're going crazy trying to find them, and the items I need I can't find. Yeah, then you go crazy in need and without. So if people don't want cash, and if cash loses its value, if it isn't worth anything, you can only sell so much for so long before prices keep dropping. So when people start selling off their personal items, everything they have, cars will drop in value, boats will drop in value, furniture will drop in value. unneeded items, all those things become worthless. Those that live off the grid are better off than those that live in the city. Those that have cabins up in the mountains and know how to hunt, fish, or on solar or wood heat, they're better off than those in the city. Again, you need to protect what you have, because those that don't have, when they get hungry, they can get very violent, and they want to find whoever's living comfortably so they can go back to where they were. There'll be rather large mass walkouts of the cities, and it'll be unsafe to live in metropolitan cities throughout the USA. The time to start prepping has always been yesterday, okay? And it's always said it's never too late, okay? It's never too late to start. And it's always going to be, I should have done this. I could have, I would have, I should have. Well, you should get going on it. The world just doesn't move in a straight line, okay? The goal here is not to predict the exact date of when the collapse occurs. It's to be ready when and if it does. I hope it doesn't, but kind of looks like it's going to. And you don't want to panic. That's when you don't think straight. Think about what you need, how you're going to go about it, how you're going to acquire and start building up your pre-disaster stockpile. I would not share the information with friends or neighbors. Don't show them your emergency preparedness supplies on social media. Not a smart thing to do. Only to very, very close family members that you're willing to share with. And I wouldn't put all my emergency stuff in one place either. Maybe put a small amount visible and possibly hide the rest some way. You may not have communication, so cell phones may not work. If you want to communicate with family or friends or something like that, you can have walkie-talkies that are rechargeable, assuming you have a solar panel to recharge them. I was a prepper for many years, and everything I listed or spoke of, I've done, including radiation pills, just in case there was a nuclear fallout. Okay, you can get those too. Start watching other people's prepper channels. There's a lot of information. You'll become very good if you just start watching and learning. I know it's a big hassle and it's a big investment, but like I said, the time to start was yesterday. It's never too late. So start planning. Now, if you have questions about precious metals, my expertise is in precious metals. Excuse me. Talking too much. If you have junk silver, get rid of it. Junk silver is called junk silver because that's what it is. It's junk, which is 90% coin. And that's you don't want sterling, which is 92.5% silver. You don't want coins that are 90% silver. You don't want investment coins. Investment coins you paid extra for when you bought them, and that means they're a luxury. People have to have extra money to buy them. When there's no cash available, luxuries don't sell. Just like boats, motorhomes, cars. Luxuries don't sell. They don't sell for the price that you want or paid for in the first place. So what you want, simply, and I do know precious metals very well. I used to write for bigger companies articles on it. And I have my own put away. So what you want to do is make sure that you have a known purity, weight, and a company that you purchase from. And the best actually are the governments. So I prefer Canadian Maple Leafs, both gold and silver. You can buy half ounce, you can buy 10th ounce. I believe in U.S. American Gold Eagles, pure Buffaloes. Those are well known. Okay, Credit Suisse, internationally known. You can get them in gram weights. You can get them in ounce weights. You can buy 1 gram, 10 gram, 100 gram, 1,000 gram, and then also in the troy ounces, 1/10 troy ounce, 1/4, 1/2, 1 ounce, and I wouldn't go over 1 ounce because gold's sitting at 4,000. It can easily double, easily. Silver is, again, your better investment because silver has a long ways to go before it's reached its peak. There's a lot of gold sitting above ground, okay? There's a lot of gold sitting in safes. Countries have hoarded it. I'm sure you've heard that, they've been buying up metric tons of gold. both in England, in China, and the U.S. supposedly has gold, but I doubt if they have as much as they're supposed to have at Fort Knox. But in any case, I'm sure the U.S. does have some gold reserves. But because of the size and bulk of silver, and because of the shortage of silver year after year, silver has not been held in large quantities in too many places, only privately. And I would think that because it's used and continuously used in electronics, making plastics, tinting the glass in windows for all the cars, like that, and it's used for medical purposes too. Silver still is used in filming industry as well for certain types of photographic type abilities. Not everything is electronic anymore, but in any case, silver is going to go up in value quite a bit. It could double to 100, it could triple to 150, it could quadruple to 400. The point is, you have to decide at what point you should change your silver to gold, because gold has longer lasting value than silver. Diversify, that would be my best answer to you. Diversify. Have some. I would have more silver than gold. Basically, if you equal value, you'll end up with more silver than gold in ounces. How high will it go? I don't know, man. Everything goes up to a peak, then drops off, then goes back up again when there's sell-offs. Copper, gold, silver, all those things do it, okay? So I would suggest investing mostly in silver in the interim. $300 silver is not out of bounds here. It might peak out at 5 or higher, but then it may drop off. So at a certain point, you're going to want to trade some of your silver and hold more gold, because gold is a more even. Since there's a lot in countries own it and everything else, it'll hold its value. But again, like I said, the gold did not double. The silver did not go from 25 to 50. It didn't double. The value of the dollar dropped by half. And it's going to drop some more, because nobody is trusting the U.S. dollar in the world. It's being taken off of the U.S. trade. They're dumping their treasury notes and certificates, other countries. China's down to about 60% of what they used to have from our government. Russia doesn't hold any U.S. Bonds, certificates, or treasuries. I don't think most of Saudi, Kuwait, Iraq, they're not dealing in U.S. dollars anymore, and they don't trust it. Honestly, I don't trust it. I love America. I love being American, but I need to protect myself and my family. And this is what I have to tell you, and this is the best I can tell you. Thank you for watching the Goldfinger Minute. I appreciate all of you views. I'm sorry I haven't put out as many videos as I'd like to, but I get real busy here with other things, and I'm just getting over being sick with a cold. Luckily, there's a peptide for that too, so I'm into the peptides as well. Anyway, with that, this is the Gold and Silver Report by Goldfinger Minute, and I'm Goldfinger, and you guys take care. Love you all.